What's going on YouTube? Welcome to Cal Financial. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how much architects make in the year 2022. A little background about me and my channel is that I'm a licensed architect in the Midwest United States. I got my license in 9 months right after graduate school, and I currently work as a licensed architect. So, what do architects make in 2022? According to the AIA, or the American Institute of Architects, architects make a median salary of $93,000 per year. The AIA salary calculator is probably the best gauge of what the median salary of an architect is. If you find this video helpful or enjoyable in any way, just subscribe and hit the like button. It'd be much appreciated. Let's begin. First is pay scale, which is showing around $63,000 per year, with a high end of $105,000 and a low end of $46,000. They also break down the base salary, bonus, profit sharing, commission, and total pay. And it was last updated in January 25th of 2022. The next one will be Zippia, which is showing $75,000 median base pay, low end of $53,000, high end of $105,000, which is about the same as pay scale. The next one will be salary.com, which is showing a median of about $86,000 per year, with a low end of $77,000, high end of $96,000. So far, we're pretty close to a median of around $82,000 per year. The next one will be ZipRecruiter, which shows all 50 states and a discrepancy between the most highest paying and the lowest paying of about $24,000. So Massachusetts annual median is around $87,000, whereas the lowest of Florida is around $63,000. A lot of that has to do with cost of living. The next will be Glassdoor, which is around $90,000 per year. And that's showing a little bit higher than the other ones. An intern is around $55,000 right out of school, and maybe after a few years, possibly a license, around $75,000. All right, looking at all those credible sources, one could get pretty confused. I mean, I got pretty confused myself. You have one on the low end with $65,000 for a median salary, and another one at like $90,000. So which one do you choose? Does it account for benefits? Does it have bonuses in there? I have no idea. I think the AIA does a better job of distinguishing what is actually being paid, what's the difference between base pay, fringe benefits, and additional cash compensation. So I'm over at the AIA salary calculator. As you can see, I'm on Architect 1, which is right after recent grad and you just got licensed. And so I always like to look at the 50th percentile or the median, and it shows that it's around $68,000. So that's on the lower end, closer to this pay scale. And so they're also including at the 50% median an additional $3,000 for cash. So it brings you around $71,000 for a median pay. And then they add in this right here, the value of fringe benefits as a percentage of annual base pay. Basically just what that means is they're accounting for what they're paying for medical for you, and that can be as much as $5,000 per year. So if you actually want to figure out what the wage or what the actual salary is, you almost have to take off like $5,000 to $7,000 off of this median pay to get maybe what your wage is. The fringe benefits are usually medical, dental, vision, and long-term disability insurance. And they like to say that this is not dependent on financial performance, such as profit sharing, discretionary year-end bonuses, and they probably don't really include 401k cash contributions. So in Architect 1, which is kind of the first architect once you get licensed, so that could be 9 months out of grad school, it could be 10 years out of grad school, maybe, I don't know exactly. But traditionally, Architect 1 is around 3 to 5 years. And that's just basically saying that you're fully competent in all conventional aspects of architecture. So you can perform assignments individually, but maybe you don't know exactly everything. So you still need like a senior PA or senior PM to help you out with redlining. And one thing you'll note too is Architect 1 is more of like a moderate size complexity. You're not like doing large scale projects by yourself. You're also not running the project either. You're not a project architect, you're an Architect 1. So you're generally just supposed to be newly minted licensed a few years out of school. I don't know if you're writing specifications, but you're for sure checking them. And you're telling your spec writer, if you have one in-house, to exactly what you want and double checking too to see if they got it right, if they're carrying out your basis of design intent. Overall, I think this is probably pretty accurate. I mean, if you're closer to the 3-year range or maybe even less, you're probably closer to that and including fringe benefits. A couple years, maybe 3.5, 4 years, you're closer to that, and hopefully around 5, maybe 6 years, you're up to that 75th percentile. Okay, we just looked at the AIA salary calculator, and now every couple of years we can look at the AIA compensation report, and the most recent one is from 2021, and it just came out in January. And it says that the median salary is actually 93,000, which is a lot closer to an architect too. So if you go on the AIA salary calculator website again, you go to architect 2, which is about 6 years, you're closer to that 75th percentile according to this report, which is around 89,000 plus another 5,000 in cash, or you're on the lower end of an architect 3, which is 8 years, and you're making around 91,000 with an additional 5,000. And so it gets a little bit different because on their report, it's covering project design and project management staff, also architect and design staff, so licensed and non-licensed, and recent graduates non-licensed. So this one is a little bit different in terms of its counting from a recent graduate all the way to a project management staff, a project architect or project manager. So it's got a wider range, but at least over the course of 30 years, it's been pretty consistent. The difference between this report and the AI salary calculator is that they are accounting for overtime, bonuses, and incentive compensation, such as 401k matching. So that's what you're not going to see on the AI salary calculator. So that's why you kind of add in this additional cash compensation to the base pay, and also maybe 5% average of what the base pay is to get this median on this bi-yearly report. So looking at these 30 years, you can see that we had a large growth up until 2008, the housing crisis, and then we took a little dip, and then we slowly worked our way up to 82,000 in 2017, made a really big jump 2017 to 2019, and in the last couple years, with all that has been happening in the world, we made a little increase, but not much. Also on this site, you can look at recent compensation between architects and also private workers. And you can see that private workers and professional staff, they continued to increase from 2019 to 2020, whereas architects' salary stagnated a little bit. That just has to do with a little bit of construction practices and people not really needing architects maybe as much in the most recent years when people are not working in offices anymore. This report shows the difference between salaries across the United States too. And so maybe in the Midwest, you get around 53,000, and at the most, when you go over to California, it's as much as 70,000. So that might be where we're getting the difference in the median salary on the credible sources, and also why we're getting a large percentile difference on the AIA salary calculator. One thing that I didn't really pay attention to is that benefits have been sliding the last few years. So employers are less likely to pay as much or your benefits at all when you're working for them. So I thought that was interesting, and especially if you're at a smaller firm, there's a less of a chance that your employer is going to pay all of your benefits or a larger portion of it. This report takes into account incentives also at your employer, ability to work remotely all or most days, a question that was asked 2 years ago, and that was probably the biggest jump from 13% to 72%. In a second, I'll put all of these sources in a spreadsheet and chart them to see what it actually looks like to get an even better idea what the median is. In the end, you will probably get closer to that 93,000, but it's important to see where exactly 93 is allocated to. Now let's go over to the spreadsheets. Okay, so we're over at the spreadsheets, and I put all of the credible sources on the AIA salary calculator all in one chart so we can see them graphed. So in the red, that's the AIA salary calculator, and in the blue, those are our credible sources. On the trend line, we're going from recent graduate all the way to a senior project manager. In the middle, I'd say you're at around 82,000 or 86,000, with salary and the AIA architecture 2. Now, if you look at this, including benefits, additional cash compensation, and bonuses, you will see that the base salary and the hourly wage really doesn't come to exactly what you think it is. If we look at that annual report from the AIA, it says that the median salary is around $93,000, but when you incorporate the additional cash, the total cash, and the total fringe, you're actually only getting a base salary of around $72,000. So when you add that up, it's almost $21,000 of additional benefits and money that you're not really seeing your paycheck day to day. I broke this out and did an estimation of your fringe benefits, also bonus and overtime, and additional cash you could be receiving. And when you look at that, the base salary is really only around $70,000 or $72,000, whereas your fringe costs, which you might not even see, is around $7,000, which is your medical, dental, vision, and group life. Total cash, which you might just be getting a bonus once a year or a little bit of overtime, is only around $5,000. And then additional cash, which is an estimated 401k match, possible employee stock ownership plan, and professional development, it's around an additional $8,000. Without that additional cash, so if you didn't have a 401k, you didn't have employee stock owner, and you didn't have maybe professional development dues or education paid for, you're looking at a median salary of around $82,000 or $84,000. And that's where I'd say that this is a little bit confusing, because you have to be specific with what is being included in that median salary. I know the AIA compensation report is saying it's including average compensation, including overtime bonuses and incentive compensation. But is it also including fringe benefits? And what portion of that goes to the overtime bonuses and incentive compensation? Which leads me to believe that a $93,000 median salary for an architect really isn't $93,000, and you're probably looking closer to $70,000 or $72,000 for your actual salary or hourly wage. Okay, that was a lot of numbers. To recap, I would say the median architect salary is $72,000 per year, and with all benefits, it comes to $93,000 per year. With that said, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit the subscribe, like, and notification bell. Until next time, see you in the next video.